Hello, my name is Mark Galogly. I am a music teacher. I teach guitar, piano, and do vocal coaching. I also teach at a private school band instruments as well as choral and recorder. And as well, in the past I've done studio session work as a session guitarist, keyboardist, and vocalist. And what I'm going to speak about today, the fact that I also have a background in IT infrastructure sales as well as digital media and web design, probably plays a little bit into uh, this topic, which is taking music lessons online. Now, this is not really directed toward music teachers. This is more directed toward people who want to take lessons online, take lessons from home with an instructor, such as myself, who would teach you from their studio as well. First thing I should talk to you about is devices. The type of device that you should use on your end when setting up from a home lesson. First of all, don't use a cell phone. Cell phone is just too small. You want something that has a large enough screen on it so that you can see what your instructor is doing if they ever want to give you an example. Okay? Cell phones as well are very cumbersome to set up, especially for piano lessons. Not too bad for guitar, because with guitar you can just set it up directly in front of yourself and the teacher can see you and see your hands on the fretboard. With piano, though, as you can see from this angle, you want to be at an angle where the instructor can see your hands on the keyboard so that they know if you're making any types of errors that need to be corrected. And so they can see in proper fingering, proper posture, all of that sort of thing. And so with a cell phone, it's very hard to get it up. Like right now, I'm using a laptop, which is at a bit of an angle, and it's sitting just slightly above, actually probably about a foot, I would say, above the keyboard, and the camera itself might even be a little bit higher. That way you can have a proper angle on the keyboard so that everything can be seen by the instructor. Rather difficult to do with a cell phone, and once again, the screen is just too small. Makes it very difficult to see. Tablets are okay as well because of the size of the screen. You just once again want to be able to angle the tablet down to the keyboard so that it can be seen by the instructor. So then I would have to say then that a laptop like what I'm using right now is your best option. And if you can have it placed on a table that's elevated above the keyboard and a little bit off to the side, that's most optimal as well. Okay, so that's what you want to be using for devices. And even a desktop computer is fine. Not too many people use them anymore in their home, but if that's the option that you have available, once again, for guitar students, that's fine because they're looking straight on. But with with a desktop, you want to be able to angle it down to see the keyboard, so that can be a little bit more cumbersome. So once again, the laptop is certainly the better option. Now, the next thing to talk about is what type of platform, online platform, should you be using. And oftentimes they're referred to as Skype lessons. Zoom is also very popular right now. That brings me on to the next topic, which is speed. So in the case of a music lesson, you don't want lag. Like you don't want freeze framing. You don't want situations where the music's just cutting in and out and the student can't hear their instructor demonstrating, nor can the teacher hear properly what the student is playing or practicing. So in order to cut down on lag, the most optimal thing that you can do is to use an Ethernet like this cable. One. And the thing with the Ethernet cable is it will maximize your bandwidth exponentially compared to using just regular Wi-Fi. In fact, I have my computer sitting right next to my router, And when I plugged my Ethernet cable in, the speed just went off the charts by comparison. I have had some students who've had their router in a completely different room and they still had really good signal. So it really depends on the quality of router that you have in a situation like that. But the most optimal thing to do is to either have the router sitting right next to the computer, the device, or to use, the most optimal of course is to use an Ethernet cable. And so the other thing, mom and dad, while the half-hour lesson is on, don't be streaming anything from another device, because that of course, through the same router, because that of course is going to create a lot of lag in the experience, and they'll start to get things like um, freeze frame, or just the whole experience starting to stall a bit. Now, as well, microwave ovens, by the way, run on the same frequency as Wi-Fi, 802.11, for those of you who are familiar with the techie terms on that. And so when you turn on your microwave as well, that can cause a little bit of lag. So the next and most important thing, and I've discussed this a little bit before, is the angle of the device that you're using. So once again, for guitarists, you're okay so long as everyone can see what you're, your instructor can see what you're doing. So you want the guitar to be high enough up so that the instructor can see your fingers on the fretboard, and as well as your strumming. Even more so if you're learning finger styling, they'll really want to be able to see the fingers. Now right now my camera's kind of angled down a little bit just for this overall demonstration, just to give you a clear view of everything, but when I'm teaching one of my private students, I would angle the camera down a little bit so they can see the fingers on this part of the guitar as well, in the main body. Alright, so as well with the keyboard, if you're a piano student, this is really crucial that, first of all, you're able to identify where the middle C is. I have the keyboard off right now. So moms and dads, if you've never taken piano lessons, middle C is this white key right before the two black keys in the middle of the keyboard. Okay, and that's just kind of a central starting point from which your student would learn all of their notes on the keyboard. So you want to be able to see what the instructor is doing, but the most important thing, when you do have your camera turned on, you want it to be in close enough as well so that your instructor can see what you're doing on the keyboard, to make sure you're using the right fingers in the right places, to make sure your posture's good and everything like that. So these are kind of the important, crucial things to be looking for when you're taking music lessons online. So as well, this also applies to people who might be taking, say, a woodwind or a brass instrument. Of course, with them, it's like the guitarist, it's much easier. You just sit right in front of the camera and away you go. So I hope this has all been helpful to you. If you're interested in music lessons, I am available at rougeriverrock.com. You can find my website and my contact information in there. Once again, my name is Mark, and great speaking with you.